And hi everyone. Today we've got with us Alyce, who is from Babywearing. Oh, she's a baby wearing expert, and she has got a website and a business called Cloth and Carry, where she provides, it's an online business where you can buy all the different baby carriers, and also her other passion, which is cloth nappies, which I wasn't really aware about, but we just talked about it, and we're going to talk about that as well. But I remember when I had my babies, mine are 18 and 20 now, so the only carriers we had were the baby Bjorns, and or like, just the other really that slingy ones anyway. But my babies both loved being carries. I'm a super fan of baby wearing and baby carrying, and I think that it's so beneficial for so many different things. We know about baby and mum bonding and breastfeeding and baby development and all of those kind of things, and there's a lot of research around how beneficial baby wearing is, but there's also that lot of confusion around what's a good baby carrier, how to do it safely, those kind of things. So yeah, Alyce is going to take us through all of that. So I'll hand over to you if you want to start just maybe running through some of the different baby wearing options, or some of the different things that they can buy, and then we'll talk about the safety tips.
Sure. So I'll demonstrate for the safety side of things actually using a ring sling, because it's something that everyone's really terrified of doing, but it's actually one of the easiest carriers that you can use, and there's no upper or lower weight limit for a ring sling. So if it's made out of woven wrap fabric, which this one is, you can see it's got some sort of nice rainbow stripes in it, which makes it easier to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Most of my carriers are beginner friendly, so I do have, majority of my range has some degree of rainbow style to it in the wraps and the ring slings, not so much in the carriers. But you can see with a ring sling, everyone worries about whether or not it actually is distributed across your body evenly. And I regularly get, I have a bad back, or I have a sore shoulder, or I shouldn't use a ring sling. And that can be true, but for most of the time, if you're doing it correctly, it actually distributes the weight really well, because you can see how much fabric is across my back, the whole back. It's not just part of my body. And if you're using it correctly, it shouldn't put weight through a particular part of your shoulder or your neck anyway. So what I'm doing is I've created a flip, which makes it easier to tighten everything and get baby into a really nice position. And one of my favorite things about these is, as I said, there's no upper or lower weight limit. So this particular carrier, this ring sling, is the one that we took on a recent family holiday to Bali. And my 2-year-old slept in it a lot. My nearly 5-year-old slept on a walk home from dinner, awesome. Our first night there. And she weighs 20-ish kilos. So she's really long. My husband is very tall, and my children are all very tall as well. But she basically just hopped up into it, and I wrapped it around her while she was already asleep. And there's photos of me in the lobby of the hotel with this giant child hanging off me, but she weighed nothing because I wasn't actually holding on to her, which was amazing. So once you've got your rings up the top, you're sort of cupping your whole shoulder, so you do lose movement in that one arm. And I've been sort of fluffing around. You don't have to redo that shoulder bit every time. You just sort of slide it back on over the top of you. But yeah, you create a little pocket, and then you mush it down nice and small. And when you're getting your baby, one of the main things that you want to be focusing on is making sure that they're safe. So baby's head is cradled in my arm, my elbow pit there, and I've got full control of baby's back, and I'm holding onto the hip. Obviously this is a doll. His name is Derek, the demo doll. I'm just going to slide my hand up inside the carrier and bring his legs in. He's very compliant, which is handy. At markets and things, people are always like, oh my God, your baby. But you can see this little chunk here. This is why the stripes come in handy. This yellow bit here is quite loose out of all of my fabric. I've literally dropped, he weighs 3.5 kilos. I've let his weight drop onto the ring sling and made sure my rings are up nice and high, but I can feel that this bit here is too loose. So if I actually find that in here, I can tighten that yellow bit up a little bit, and that takes some of that slack out before I've even started doing anything from the beginning. And then if I just pull this up over the top of him here, he's in nice and safe already. And that top
You
bit there
pull
is
him
nice
in
and tight.
and make him nice and tight.
Yeah, so then the bottom bit here is quite loose still. You just sort of pull it up, bring all of the slack around from the back here underneath towards the rings, and if you hold on to it as you tighten through here, it basically keeps everything nice and tight and your rings don't move so much. So now that I'm in that position, it didn't take me that long to get there, and this one wrap or carrier can be used for basically any child. My best friend messaged me this morning. She has a 2.3 kilo preemie who's just come home from hospital 2 days ago. She wanted to know which carrier she should have for her, and this is my 100% go-to.
Yeah. So this is the one you recommend is best for all ages, even right from newborns.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
You can also tandem wear it. If you have 2 ring slings, you can put a toddler on one side and a tiny baby on the other. You obviously feel a bit wonky doing that, but if you have twins, you can do 2 ring slings at the same time. It's not ideal to back carry in a ring sling, but it's always handy to have a couple of different types of carrier. So obviously the ring sling is one of my favorites, and to get out of it, you literally just lift the rings up a little bit, loosen it off, not very much, and you can do this while a baby is asleep. If you slide your hand up underneath and swap hands so your baby's completely supported by your hand, bringing that wrap up over the top of their head, and then you can lay them down really gently onto a bed or cot or whatever, and you haven't had to wake them.
Like depending on whether they wake up as soon as you take your hands off them, but yeah.
So you can also this is made of a woven wrap, as I mentioned before, and you can get obviously different lengths of woven wrap, and there's lots of people will start out with a stretchy wrap, but they don't actually realize that stretchies shouldn't be used under 3.5 kilos, and they're only comfortable till about 6 kilos. So you spend $100 to $150 on this beautiful, really soft, stretchy bamboo or tencel or whatever stretchy wrap, and then you end up using it for 2 to 3 months, and that's it.
Yeah.
Some babies.
This one you can take right from newborn all the way up to, did you say your 5-year-old was in it the other night?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so good to know.
Yeah, so it's literally one carrier for the whole time through. And a woven wrap does the same thing. With a woven wrap, you have the added flexibility to put them on your back, on your front, on your hip. Theoretically, you can wear 2 kids at the same time in one wrap, although I don't really recommend it. Generally, 1 carrier per kid is the preferred.
And is that a particular brand or just a style? Is there different brands in that style, or is that just,
There are lots of different brands, yeah. So another one of my favorites, everyone always just says, I want something really quick and easy with buckles. And that's why everyone owns a Babywearing or an Ergo Baby, because they are easy to get in baby stores, and if you go in and ask their opinion, that's the one that they'll hand you. Having really good marketing and a really good name doesn't necessarily mean it's the right carrier for you. So you'll often find that, particularly with a lot of those department store baby carriers, the shoulders are massive, the straps are huge, they're really chunky on your waist. Post-Caesar, you want no waistband anywhere near your Caesar scar. And even when you're wearing it up really high on your natural waist, it's really hard to keep that giant waistband away from your tummy. Having said that, I do have a carrier here that has a decent sized waistband, but it's actually really soft. So this is a half buckle, which means that it has a buckle on the waistband, but the actual shoulder straps don't have a buckle on them, which frightens some people. But it's actually a really good option for people who want to have one carrier between lots of different people. So if mum and dad, or 2 completely different shaped mums, or grandma and granddad are going to be helping out and they want to be wearing the baby as well, it's really handy to just put the waistband on and adjust it to your body. Obviously, I'm really small. Yeah. But my dad does quite a bit of parenting for me, and he usually, not at the moment, he's a truck driver, so yeah. But he weighs 110 kilos. So for us to have a carrier that suits both of us and to fit over his permanent 9-month belly, we have to have something that's really, really easy to adjust like this carrier. So this is called a Fidela Flow Click. And it has padded shoulder straps, which is what a lot of people think that they want. They also do a similar style of carrier, which has nice thin woven straps like the wrinkling that we were using before. And I find that is my favourite because it completely molds and there's no excess, I suppose, around my ears and my body. But I love this carrier for the simplicity of actually putting it on. So again, I get my baby and I've cradled him in that same position. I've got access to his leg and hip and back and head, all nicely supported. And I bring him up onto my chest. And one of the main things that I see people do is just really quickly try to put the carrier on. But if your baby's stressed or upset, sometimes you just need to take that extra minute to tend to them first. So you can stand and sort of bop, and obviously Derek he's the most chilled out baby ever, so I don't have to stress about that. But with an actual baby, I do this with my friends' babies and things as well. Just take the time to let them relax. And one big thing when you're putting them inside a carrier is not to sit them on the waistband. You want them in the carrier, if that makes sense. So this front panel here is there to support your baby. And I've adjusted all the little straps. You can probably see these little toggly things. Yep. They've all adjusted right down because my baby is a newborn, so he's really small. But it actually increases out in size as the baby grows.
Yeah. So that one also can go from newborn to bigger?
Yeah, 3.5 kilos up to 15 for this particular carrier. Cool. And he's not sitting on my waistband, which is here. He's actually inside.
In the little pouchy bit.
Kind of hard to show in a video.
Yeah, no, you can see. I can see. Yep.
But I've still got, at all times, one hand on my baby as I'm doing this. So you can sort of see I do everything with one hand.
Yeah.
And if I reach back and grab onto my straps and just pull straight down, everything comes nice and tight around him and me, and I can let him go. And then all I have to do with this particular carrier is cross my straps over like this.
Yeah.
And then if I dig my elbows into my hips and shuffle my shoulders and pull on my hands at the same time, everything comes in nice and tight, and the straps just go underneath his little legs under there and tie
it up.
Done. Yeah. And it's molded perfectly to my body. I haven't had to do any buckles and tighten things and readjust and loosen and tighten and fluff with anything. I have just tied a knot. Yeah. And that's it, a double knot in there. And you can see that I can move my shoulder straps out away, so because there's pressure points in your neck here, you don't want your carrier sitting on them. If you can get your carrier sort of between your shoulders and your neck in the middle, generally most of your comfort comes from that nice positioning. And this crossover here, you want at the height of about where your bra strap sits. So my bra is here, and my cross is sort of similar to that, but I can move it. I have full ability to move around inside of here. And my baby has full ability to move his legs. He can move his arms. Theoretically, most of them will have their hands up nice and high. He's high. He's really high. And this is another big thing that I see, particularly dads are not very good at doing. You want your baby up in your face because you can read them. You can see their face. I can see Derek's face here. I can feel him breathing on my neck. I know that he's okay. And as soon as he gets upset, he tells me straight away. If he falls asleep, I can check that his airway is not obstructed. His chin is up. His back is supported. Obviously harder to see with the little hood in the way, but you can see there's neck tightening here, which supports all parts of his body, basically. And his little knees are tucked in up. So his bum is down here and his knees are up here. And this creates what we call an M position. So another thing that you see with a lot of supermarket, big baby store carriers is that the buckles for your carrier sit here onto the side of your carrier. That puts pressure on this breast tissue, so it increases your risk of mastitis and things. It also pulls here on your baby. So what natural ergonomical position for a baby is that their spine is curved in a C shape from very early on, and you'll always see they fall asleep on your tummy, curled up in a ball. Their legs are up above their bum, and they're in that nice, beautiful curved shape. And you want them in that position, but just stuck to you, basically. So if you put buckles here and you tighten your shoulder straps in so your baby can't move, like I lean forward, Derek doesn't move away from me at all. If you do that in one of those particular carriers, and even massive big brand carrier brands still do it, it flattens right in the middle.
Yeah, and that's not good for their little curvy back.
Not ideal, no.
Well,
so at least
good to know.
Yeah, so with a half buckle, you have full control. You can wear them on your back, on your front. Theoretically, you can probably do a hip carry, but it's not particularly comfortable. So if you want a hip carry, that's what a ring sling or a wrap is for. This is why I recommend most people not to have just one carrier. Although that doesn't work for everybody, which is fine. And there are lots of sling libraries and things where you can borrow normally, where you can borrow things to get a hand to work out what is the perfect carrier for you. I'm not saying that I don't think people should have a buckled carrier, because a full buckle, because they do have their place and they can be really, really good.
What is their place? Is it more for the older babies, or? Yeah,
generally bigger babies are a bit easier to put in, and you can get full buckle carriers that don't have the buckles attaching onto that middle part of the back strap. I do have one here. I think my demo one's out in my car, but grab this one out here. Yeah, I'll grab this one out.
So would those two that you've just showed us would be your top recommendations?
The half buckle and the ring sling are my biggest selling products, and they're the most versatile for pretty much everybody. So this is a Bazidal full buckle carrier. It has a buckle on the waistband. I'm holding it upside down.
Yeah.
And then it has shoulder straps that have buckles on the end and a chest buckle. So this is where people get really confused, because there's buckles everywhere. When you're trying to fit them, they don't know which way to tighten things and where to do things, and yeah, it all gets a bit confusing. This particular carrier is really good because it actually has this particular brand calls it stepless adjustments. So you can tighten the back panel like I did with the Fidela. I just literally grab these little toggle things and pull them in and then tighten them, and it makes everything smaller so it fits the baby at all times. So if you are using a carrier that needs an infant insert, the baby only fits in that infant insert for like 2 weeks out of the 6 months that it needs to use it, because it just literally doesn't fit inside the back panel properly, but it doesn't actually fit inside that awkward hot little blanket thing that people are recommended to wrap their babies in.
Yeah.
And the thing that you want your baby to be supported in that nice anatomical position the whole time, from birth right through till you stop wearing them, which for everyone is a different time, but theoretically, like as I said, I still sometimes have to wear my nearly 5-year-old, so these things happen. So this one, the same thing again, we do the waistband up around for a newborn really high. People are always amazed, and tight, so for me it's as tight as it goes. But I am a 6 to an 8, so I'm a small person. But if you can fit your whole hands inside the carrier, it's too loose.
Okay. You
just want to be able to fit your fingertips. So I have to sort of breathe in a little bit to fit my fingertips in. But when people come to baby wearing meets and say, my baby carrier is so uncomfortable, what's wrong with it? A lot of the time it's because they've got a carrier that doesn't fit them anyway. But I turn around and grab onto these straps and hold onto their hip and pull, and I tighten it, and they go, oh, is that how it's supposed to be? And it's not just for the positioning of the carrier, it's positioning for your own body. If it's tight, it forces you into an upright position where your posture is good, and your baby is well supported and your body is well supported. So that's one of the main things that you want to
definitely, because you don't want it making you uncomfortable and creating problems in your back and your posture as well. So I see, so they buckle up over there like that.
Yeah, so as a general rule, I would actually do this before I put my carrier on. I would do my clips up, and there's a couple of different ways you can do this. Some people cannot for the life of them do their chest clip up behind their back, which is fine. So we teach them to do it a different way. But I'll show you this way for now. So when you bring your shoulder straps up over, you can see this is way too loose. It's like wobbling around all over the place.
Yeah.
This carrier has a couple of different places to tighten that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have it semi-tight enough, if you reach up behind your back, get my hair out of the way, you can see this chest clip here.
Oh, yeah.
And it's definitely not tight enough for me to actually wear the carrier like this. If I get that chest clip and do it up, another thing I see is people have it way too tight or way too loose. Again, you still want your shoulder straps in the middle of your shoulders, no matter what you're doing with that. And then my baby still dangles off my body there, and he's way, way too loose. So if I pull it all up and support myself properly, I can tighten these little straps here. These are called perfect fit adjusters. So they're good for really small wearers. And it means that you can adjust it between me and my dad, for example, where he would obviously need it on the absolute loosest setting. And if I was going to wear a bigger kid in it, I would probably loosen them off a bit. But if you slide your hand underneath your baby's bottom and hold their weight, you can see, like, I can lift him quite easily. If I pull on the back strap down, it tightens everything right in, and it brings that chest clip down lower.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I do the same thing on this side, the chest clip's up still quite high. I can pull it down in nice and tight. And then there's still other buckle spaces down here that I can tighten. Yeah, well, I can't see this one. But you can see in this particular carrier, that shoulder strap actually attaches to the waistband, not
up here around your boobs. Yeah, where it's going to
away from all the important stuff, away from your baby's spine, away from your breasts. Nice and comfortable for everybody. His head is up nice and high. I can kiss him without trying. That's what we're aiming for, particularly for really small babies. Once they're toddlers, they end up like this anyway. Even if, you know, like if my 2-year-old, if I have my waistband down on my hips, he's still up in my face now because he's just getting so big.
But that's one of those safety tips, wasn't it? That you have them close enough that you can kiss them in that tick chart that's in the article. So that article's attached to the notes here as well, so people can go and have a look at that. And that's got all the safety tips about what to do, where to put your babies and how to do it safely. So so you want them tight, so tight that you can lean forward and your baby doesn't move away from you. You can lunge forward to save a child from getting run over, or your dog from getting out of the yard or attacking the postie or whatever. And they need to be in view, their face in view at all times, which goes hand in hand with keeping the chin off the chest. You can't see their face if their chin is down, which is another big one for baby wearing safety, where you see lots of people have the peanut shell or padded rail ring slings that you can't adjust. You want something that adjusts everything it needs to adjust so that you can fit it to you and your baby, but you need to keep your baby upright at all times. So in those particular ring slings, they're so padded that baby lays down cradled in it, and it looks amazing. It looks really good. But if you actually look closely, baby's chin cannot be supported up off their chest. It ends up stuck down, which actually can cut their airway off, and it's an asphyxiation issue. So as part of, at the moment, I'm Secretary for Baby Wearers Western Australia after 12 months as Vice Chair, and we don't recommend using them for babies at all. You can technically quite comfortably wear a toddler upright in those styles of carriers, but as a general rule, we don't recommend it because it's still encouraging people to use it, and who knows how big their child needs to be to go in that. Because it's so beautiful.
We often we offer a drop-in service where we can take those carriers and donate them to wildlife rescues for kangaroos and wombats and things that need to be close to be looked after when they've been rescued. So they don't go to waste, but they're just not really ideal for babies.
Safe. And if you're going to do it, you want to do it right, and you want to do it safe as well. So if mums wanted to have you said that there's baby wearing consultants that can actually do a one-on-one with mum to find out what this right one. Can you provide that service online, or is it something that mums need to do face-to-face with someone?
Theoretically, as a general rule, we would say do it in person. Obviously, that's not always possible for people that are isolated for whatever reason, whether it's geographic or whether it's because the government says so. because you want to be able to touch things and show people the difference. When I describe it to people and they try it, they don't always do it correctly. And even if it's mirror imaged and I walk them through it slowly, sometimes you just literally have to be with the person to do it, and to refit it and show them how much more comfortable their carrier can be, or to give them a different style of carrier. So a baby wearing consultant will turn up with a whole bag full of carriers.
We'll figure out which one's going to work best for mum and baby.
Yeah. So you can book a specific style of carrier appointment if you want to, or you can have a one sort of cover the whole lot. And both of those options are really good for most people, because it gives you the option to really nut down what it is that you find the most comfortable.
Yeah. And so we talked about the Baby Wearing School Australia, so that's a good resource where they can help you find someone in your area. And
to provide Baby Wearing School Australia and the Baby Wearing Practice. She owns both, and they have lots of really good resources on their website of like how old your baby should be to back carry them, because if it's not a cultural generational normality for you to back carry, we don't really recommend doing it until your baby can actually push themselves up to sit and maintain that seated position. And theoretically at that time you can forward face your baby as well. So we get lots and lots of questions about how old does my baby need to be forward facing in my carrier? Which carrier should I buy because I want forward facing, things like that. Theoretically, forward facing should be limited to 15 to 20 minutes maximum at any given time. It should be a baby that can hold their own body up. So I regularly see tiny little babies forward facing that shouldn't be. They just don't have the strength to hold their body up and maintain their own airways. They overstimulate really fast. You can't read their cues. You can't see their face to see if they've turned blue. And if they fall asleep, they can cut their own airway off really quickly. And often, even when babies are at that physically able to sit up point, they're still not tall enough. So we often get people that put their babies in and they share a photo in our the baby wearing group that I run, in our Facebook group, and they say, can I get a fit check? And we'll say everything else looks great except your baby is too short. They're chewing on the top of the carrier. And it's up around their face like this, and it's just, they're too low. And it's not because you need to bring your baby up, it's just that they're too small.
Too small to go that way.
Yeah, so generally at that point, you can put them in a buckled carrier like this, in an on-behemo, which is a buckled carrier with no waistband, in a woven wrap or a half buckle on your back, and they can still see the same stuff. It's safer because it maintains their optimal spine and hip positioning, and it's actually more comfortable for the wearer, because if you're wearing your baby facing outwards on your tummy, they actually naturally lean away from you because their spine doesn't want to be flat like this.
Curved like that.
They want to lean away to maintain their own comfort levels, and their hips don't feel comfortable with their legs pinned back like this and their body pinned back like that. If you're trying to put yourself in that position, it's actually awful. So what you'll find is that babies will naturally pull away, and then people will loosen their straps to allow the baby to lean away, which is even worse, because then you end up walking around like this trying to compensate for the fact that the carrier is too loose and your baby's leaning away. And then you get a horrendously sore back. So whereas if you just put the baby on your back, everyone's still in an anatomically correct position and it's much more comfortable. And if you've got the right carrier and it's fitted correctly, theoretically, you should be much more comfortable.
Awesome. My last question is for the babies that I've heard mum say, oh, my baby hated the carrier, they didn't like it. Would it be most likely that they're not fitted correctly or it's not suitable for that baby or mother? Because,
more often than not,
yeah, most babies do like to be carried, but it's probably that they're not comfortable in there, or mum's not comfortable and that's creating stress, something like that. Do you ever have babies that just really hate it and they're never going to go in?
Occasionally they do, and sometimes it's because they're too hot. So a carrier counts as a layer of clothing. So if it's 40 degrees, you're naturally going to be quite warm anyway. And then if you've got a synthetic carrier, like a baby beyond, going back to that again, where baby's legs are dangling, they're not comfortable in the first place because their spine and their hips aren't correctly supported. They don't feel safe because it's too loose and you can't tighten it properly. And then it's really hot because it's like a blanket, or if you're using an Ergo Baby, one of the original ones where you had to use the infant insert or like a standard Tula or something like that, it's really, really warm. Whereas if you're using something that's made of woven fabric, particularly 100% cotton or a cotton linen blend or something like that, they breathe a lot easier. And if you dress in natural fibres and you dress your baby in natural fibres, or just put them in a nice cute little cloth bum and put them inside the carrier, everyone's heaps cooler. Yeah. Skin on skin can be quite warm in that instance, but if you pop like a cooling towel for a baby who's over 6 months old, the cooling towel can go up against baby directly. For younger babies, you want it just around the mum or the wearer, obviously the grandparent, the dad, whoever it is that's wearing them. But just a flannel can go, or a muslin can go between the two of you. And those are really thin and light, and they just stop the sticky sweatiness more than anything. But generally, yeah, it's more often it's an uncomfortable issue, whether it's they've got a bubble in their tummy and they need a really good massage, and being upright helps with babies that are colicky and refluxy anyway, because they're not getting that rush back being flat. It helps with getting the massage happening as well for those babies, because they're upright and you're moving around naturally. That helps to move everything for the baby. So if you put your baby in a carrier and they're unsettled and you go for a walk, most of the time when I do a consultation with someone, their baby might be a little bit upset when you first put the carrier on, and I say, just do a lap of my house, go find the pool table, walk around it and come back. Their baby's calm. Almost every time. So
and the right carrier and then movement, that's going to help. If it is from something where they're a bit upset, or if they're in their tummy, tummy colicky or upset, then that's going to help regardless. If you've got
most of the time it's like occasionally you will still get people that don't like being touched, and babies are the same. And there's nothing you can do about that, but
baby wearing's not going to be for them. But in most cases, we find once you get the right one and the right fit, then they love it. And just quickly, that was such amazing information. Thank you so much. It's so beneficial to learn that. I wish I had had you and the baby carriers when my babies were little, but I'm going to know that now for my grandkids. But tell us about the cloth nappies. I know when my babies were little, I used cloth nappies because I lived in Broome in Western Australia, where it was we had the climate that was fine for, like I just used to think. But you've got the tell me about the cloth nappies that you use, because they sound amazing.
There are so many different types of cloth nappies now. Obviously, every year or two, a whole bunch of new brands comes out and changes the game again. So lots of people will say, oh, we use flats or, pre-folds and covers with our babies. I was a flats and plastic pilchers baby. My kids, I have got flats. I mostly use them as burp cloths.
I think that's what I had, flats, where you just folded them and you had the little plastic clip that you put over them, and then the plastic bloomers over the top, and they were chunky and really big.
And those plastic bloomers are awful. They don't breathe at all. But if I turn my camera this way, you can sort of see a whole wall of cloth nappies here. So I do still have the flats up here, and they come in plain white or colours, as you can see. But there are so many different types of nappies that can keep everyone really well entertained. So a lot of the time people are so used to using disposables that they think that transitioning via Velcro is the best option, which I am somewhat agreeing with. My husband will only use Velcro nappies. So this kind of, it has a Velcro closure on it. This is a Baby Behind's magical nappy. And a lot of these nappies come with the waterproof cover. Some of them will have a wipe clean insert, and some of them will have like a nice soft micro suede kind of micro fleece inside. And this actually works as a stay dry layer as well. So it draws the moisture away from baby's bottom so that they're less likely to get rashes and things. The Velcro, some people freak out about washing it, but if you use the Velcro tab, you literally just fold it in half here and stick it down, and then it shouldn't create a train of nappies and stuck together.
And so you put a soft nappy inside that. That's the cover.
Yeah. So that cover, you have the option to put the boosting inside the pocket, or just lay it inside. Some people hate using pockets. They don't like putting their hands inside. Some people don't like their inserts getting dirty and they want to just get everything onto here. Toddlers love pulling nappies apart. So one of my friends has a whole stack of nappies and she only uses the pocket nappies, because when you put your inserts inside the pocket, the toddlers
can't get it out.
And that particular friend of mine has twin 1-year-olds, a 2-year-old, and she's about to have a 4th baby in a couple of weeks. So she knows what she's on about.
She certainly does. She's tried all the different ones. That's wow, that's incredible. That's so good to know, because like I said, we didn't have any options, back then, and now to have all those options and sustainable, and we're so much more aware now of that sort of environmental impact that we're having, and our our footprint on the planet. So that's awesome to be able to have those other options, and so people can to contact you. Have you got something else to show me? Oh, awesome.
Oh no, I was just going to say there's not only Velcro, there's snaps as well. Okay, so cool. These, you can see even the Velcro ones have snaps across the front still. You probably can't really see it very well on this particular nappy, but there's all these little green snaps down the front.
Okay.
They actually adjust the nappy down to a newborn size, basically. So 4 kilos right through. Some of these brands will go up to 16, 18, 20 kilos. This particular nappy here goes to 20. But that's
all the way from newborn to 20.
20.
That's
so
incredible.
One brand all the way through.
Yeah.
Most people don't just stick with one brand because they get a bit sucked in. But there's so many different options. You can get snaps that go on the sides for tummy sleeping babies. The side snaps can be really good, and you can boost the daylights out of a lot of those nappies. If you've got multiple children in a really small age gap, like my friend with the 2-year-old, the 2 1-year-olds, and another baby coming, candies are really good because they have side snaps but no rise snaps on the front. So you can actually just roll the nappy naturally curls down on itself for really small babies, and then as the baby gets bigger, you just do it up looser and it fits still.
Yeah, cool.
So there's heaps of different options, and I love chatting about them. So I do have a group on Facebook for nappies.
Yeah.
And
I will put a link to that.
Videos.
I'll put a link to that in the resources section as well. And so if mums want more info, they can join the Facebook group. They can contact you by email. They can have a look at your website. So all of these contacts are going to be in the resources for them. And thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to say? It's been so
No. If any questions, email, message me, Facebook, whatever.
Cool.
Let me
I'll
know.
provide all of those contact links for everyone. And thanks so much for all that information. That's like gone blind. Like I knew it was going to be good information, but that's so important to know, and that's so helpful to our mums. So thank you so much, Alyce.
Thanks for having me, Emma.
I will get you back on when I do my podcast as well. So
sounds good.
Thank you.